Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Training with Results with Team Real World. This is Maurice Velasquez.
And I'm John Shirk.
And it is good to have you guys join us. It's a pleasure to be in your home or in your radio or wherever you have us. You're listening to Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
In Baton Rouge. So great, good feedback we're getting from a lot of folks about the shows.
That's right.
We are very happy to be with you guys, and we're just taking notes and feedback on what everybody's telling us that we ought to do or not do, and so we're just really open to hearing from you. So please contact us. Our phone number is 225 in Baton Rouge. Actually, 225 is the number to call is 225-772-4357, or on the website it is www.teamrealworld.com.
All right. Well, Maurice, we're going to go through some elements of our Management Excellence Seminar today.
Yeah.
This is normally a 2-day-long process, and you're going to get just some appetizer bites of what happens in that seminar at no charge.
Yeah. Don't think that, hey, we heard the radio show, I don't need to come to the workshop.
That's right.
But also don't think that, hey, I've already been to the workshop, I'm not going to listen to the radio show.
That's right.
Take advantage of the fact that if you're hearing the material you're going to hear in today's program, then what this helps you do is be able to, in bite size, be able to understand what we're saying in the workshop in a 2-day workshop. So if you have been to our workshop, then a lot of the things that you're going to be hearing today, you're going to be remembering, and you'll be able to go, oh, that's right. So we hope that it really helps everybody out. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. If you were going to be coming to our 2-day workshop, this is the kind of information that you would hear on how we help managers work better with their executives and with their teams.
So, Maurice, we would normally open our workshop with a discussion of what the existing problems are that people are facing.
Yeah.
So, since we don't have that person sitting here,
Right.
those people,
Right.
what are some things that we hear when those people come into our seminar?
I'm going to list several of them.
Okay.
Number one, a lot of tension in meetings. There seems to be a lot more angst and a lot of frustration. There's what's often called elephants in the room, taboo subjects. Nobody wants to talk about certain things. There's a lot of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Another one that we hear a lot about and that we present is that companies tend to host parties for employees that are leaving, but yet nobody throws a party or any type of welcoming for people arriving. Ask yourself in your company, okay, whenever a new employee comes into town, how much money is spent on welcoming that person? Or is it usually the fact that the person gets told where to sit, the computer may or may not be working?
Correct.
Right?
Maybe some boxes in the office.
Yeah.
And somebody's waiting around to find out what the password is for their email.
And I'm going to say probably nobody's waiting for them in the lobby.
Correct.
They kind of just...
Yeah, in fact, it's probably a Monday morning, so
It's right.
everybo's got their Monday morning meetings working,
Yes.
and they're standing around with their hands in their pockets wondering what they're supposed to do.
So the way in which we welcome companies, welcome employees into companies, usually reflects the culture. And it usually reflects the level of management style or the in-depthness of the connections that the managers have with their people.
That's right.
So that seems to be a very good sign of perhaps challenges in companies. So if you guys are listening to who are listening to the radio show, if you're saying to yourself, "Man, that happens at our company," well, stay tuned. Okay, don't leave this program in this workshop is perfect for you. Okay, here's another one. All right, a third one. Everyone that leaves, they always say they're leaving because the other company's paying me $2 more.
This is an amazing dynamic, Maurice. We see this so often. It's almost impossible to not see it. Every single time someone leaves, unless they're leaving because they're retiring or for some sort of family reason or something like that, the statement gets made, well, they're offering more money. And what we know from interviewing these people privately, we know from research that's done over and over and over again, is people don't quit because of money. They quit because of their boss.
Because of their immediate supervisor.
That's exactly right.
You and I have statistics, and we'll share with you guys later some statistics to show how much managers have John, is it too much to say, almost a 100% direct impact
Oh, yes.
on whether people stay in your
I'll give you-
company.
I can give you one stat right now, Maurice.
Sure.
Inc. magazine,
Yeah.
a survey they conducted showed that 65% of employees would prefer a new boss over a pay raise.
No.
65%. 2 in 3.
5%.
So those of you who are executives listening to this show and you're thinking,
Wow.
man, how do I cut money from my budget? How do I deal with my payroll issues?
So John, so let me ask you, because this is where it's so easy to just jump now into some of the diagnosis of the problem.
That's right.
If there's a particular department that seems to be losing employees a lot on an ongoing basis and there's turnover, what does that therefore then say about what may be happening?
Well, there could be a few things going on.
All right. But it's usually, okay, go ahead.
But for sure, there's some element of disconnection happening in the supervisor to employee relationship, and it's creating what in the world of human resources would be called a disengagement.
All right.
in
So
employees.
so it's a problem of disconnecting.
Yep.
Which
That's right.
creates discontentment.
Mm-hmm.
You and I like to use the word alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So there's obviously, I can't say obviously, but there probably is a deep level or a level that's becoming deep
Sure.
of disconnection, of misalignment.
That's
So
correct.
that's what we try to help is align managers back so they can tap into the culture of their teams and be able to know what their needs and what the problems are and be able to then turn around and either make decisions at their level or know how to present upward to executives to get the answers they need in order to help their teams. That is the role of a middle manager.
That's right.
Okay. So let's use that as a segue to talk about the fourth problem.
Okay.
And the fourth problem tends to be that middle managers move out of that middle position and they
step aside.
They step aside.
Olé.
That's right. What they do is they don't tap in, but when they do tap in, they don't relay information up to the executives without filtering it through their biased opinion.
Yep.
So they tell the executives a lot of what they want to hear. And then when the executives say things or announce things or make decisions that they in turn have to go and relay to the staff, then they also don't buy into it. And they kind of just say stuff like, well, hey, y'all, this is what the company's decided or this is what they decided. And it's obvious the middle manager is not buying in either direction. And so they're not really representing both sides. They're just trying to keep their job.
And that's probably the single thing that makes being a middle manager harder than almost any job sort of on an organizational level within the organization.
Yeah.
You get it from both sides.
Yeah, it is hard.
It's hard. I mean, we're sometimes hard on middle managers because it's a demanding job and we have to articulate what are the requirements of this job. But as we talk about the challenges created by poor management, please know we identify with the challenges that it represents.
Yeah, most of our lives we've been middle managers ourselves.
right.
We've been executives as well. But we certainly understand. We often joke around that it's like getting shot from both sides.
That's right.
You know,
That's
it's
right.
like walking in the middle of the Civil War. You found a Yankee bottom and a rebel top, and you get shot by both sides. So you figured, I know what the answer is. You switch around, and you get a rebel bottom and a Yankee top, and you still get shot.
That's right.
And so middle managers are regularly getting shot from both sides.
Well, they get pressure to hear good news from above them, so they sometimes respond to that pressure and try to spin things so they sound better than they actually are.
right.
And then they don't want to be the bad guy, so they do the bullfighter thing, where the bullfighter's got his cape and the bull is coming. In this case, the bull is the executive.
Right,
And instead
right,
of
yeah.
hearing from the executive and turning and passing that word along, they say "Olé!"
Yeah,
and the bull goes nose into this wide-eyed frontliner.
And probably the top number one way in which you can see if in your company you're having management and misalignment issues is in the area of effective or ineffective meetings
Exactly.
and how decisions are made. The meetings are often viewed in companies as something horrible to go to because why? They are a waste of time. Okay, so nobody wants to go to a meeting, and when they go to meetings, they can't wait to get out of there because they want to get back to work. because meetings really have no functional purpose to their productivity. They're just another meeting.
That's right.
And so decision making breaks down. Oscar Wilde one time said that if he died in the middle of a business meeting, he would not notice the difference. You know that because
That's right.
Meetings have become a black hole of no decision making, weak decision making, confusing decision making, waste of time, agendas,
or even a meeting that seems to go very well. Some kind of decision gets made. There's no clear documentation or follow up from the meeting, and everybody comes back and says, "Now, what did we decide again?
What did we decide about that?
I forgot what.
Didn't we say we were going to? And then to try to rile everybody back up to say, hey, we got to get back together about the meeting we had 3 weeks ago. What are you talking about? Well, we said we were going to. We didn't say it, and it becomes this herding of cats.
Yeah.
And so companies try to become efficient and effective, but if the middle managers aren't able to grab a hold of these things, then it becomes very difficult. So what we're going to be doing in our next segments is talking about more of the solutions and how to resolve this. So you've been listening to Training with Results with Team Real World on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Man, the music that our producers choose is the coolest stuff, man.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love the middle segment where we get to talk.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's something like, great songs at the beginning, great bumper in the back. Great thumbs up. Chris, you're the bomb, man. Thank you so much. All right, so welcome back. You're listening to Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Training with Results. This is Team Real World. I am Maurice Velasquez.
I'm John Shirk.
Team Real World. We're a corporate training company. Our slogan is simple. It is real problems, real solutions, really fun. Real problems, real solutions, really fun. That's what we're all about. We basically believe that training needs to provide results. And to have real results, you have to address real issues. And that's why we really welcome you to listen to this program to get a good feel for the fact that we try not to be superficial about the things we address. We want to talk about things that people really are hurting in their workplace, where disconnections are happening, so we can then come in and do real solutions, not just things that, take forever to implement. No, a lot of our solutions, a lot of our tools that you'll be hearing and that you have been hearing are very implementable, because we believe that there should be about a 6 to 8 week testing of these tools and begin to surprise yourself as to how much you're able to apply these, make them relevant, make them stick, and make them productive.
Exactly. Yeah, and as we go in and apply our solutions in companies, what we routinely do is create a routine.
That's right.
And that routine is necessary to establish what for us is a central element, and that is alignment.
Alignment. And alignment for those of you that are listening to us in the car, okay, how would you know if the wheels on your car are aligned or not aligned? What starts happening, John?
Well, it just starts kind of veering off the road.
Right. And when do you start noticing that little shimmy shake?
Yeah.
When?
When you start increasing speed.
So when you're trying to increase speed and become more productive is when your car starts telling you, slow down, wait, hold on. And then you either have to speed up past that to kind of get it to where it's controllable, or you realize, wait a minute, this thing's shaking too much. I'm going to have to slow down.
That's right.
Well, that's what a lack of alignment does to companies. When employees, when managers, when supervisors, when HR directors, when marketing, when IT executives, everybody wants to move faster and more efficiently. It's not about speed, it's about doing it well. And then all of a sudden you start feeling this shake. It's just the human nature. It's not a human nature. It's just the way the world is.
That's right.
Okay, when something's out of alignment and you put a little more pressure on it, the alignment, the lack of disalignment is more obvious. So that's why we emphasize so much on probably the single number one group that has the ability to change these things. All right. And so whenever we ask in our workshop, who is the number one group of people in companies that can radically change this and transform the culture, it doesn't take long before everybody realizes that group in a company is who?
The middle manager.
Middle managers.
That's right.
Okay, because the middle managers are the ones that should be able to tap in, assess, present up, get data, get solutions, implement, reward, and train.
Yeah, if I can just comment on that one piece there, Maurice, which was proposing up.
Proposing up,
reporting
yeah.
One of the things that makes a middle manager, one of the things that gets a middle manager promoted to middle manager is being an excellent frontliner.
And
What makes an excellent frontliner is someone who very well, very efficiently, very proficiently does things they're told to do.
Yeah, they just follow orders or follow guidelines.
That's exactly
Correct.
right. But then when they get promoted to middle manager, that's the very thing that holds them back.
Yeah, of course.
Because they're waiting to be told what to do.
That's right.
Instead of being task delegators to their team and then proposing, and this one is key, proposing to those above them solutions to the problems being identified.
They have to become master negotiators.
Absolutely.
They have to be organized.
Yep.
They have to be able to organize others.
Yep.
They have to be able to organize their boss. And let me tell you, that right there is where most middle managers just flop. Why? Because they usually look to the executive team or their bosses to be organized so that I, the middle manager, I can be organized.
That's right.
No, it's totally backwards. Why were you hired as a middle manager?
To get it together.
To get things organized.
That's right.
So executives hire middle managers for the middle managers to get things organized, to get things in process, to get things aligned. And the middle managers, in turn, are waiting for the executives to be organized so they can do their job. And that's where middle managers really lose it because they're looking to others above them to give them a lot of the definition that they need to be the ones to provide.
That's right. That's exactly right. They're in a position in which they can take all of the individual acts of implementation happening on the front line and kind of bring that all together with the directives they're receiving from the people above them and turn life into rowing with the stream for all those frontliners.
So if I'm a middle manager and I'm hearing this, I'm going, whoa, wait a minute. You guys just placed a huge load on us. How do we do this? Well, I mean, that is the challenge of middle managers.
You're right.
All right. So that's why we would say, come to our 2-day workshop. Then we got to visit you on a weekly, biweekly basis to help make sure you're reinforcing things. But this is why we're trying to give you some tools here on this radio program so that you will begin to understand how the puzzle pieces go together. Exactly. All right. So as a middle manager, you have to, first of all, I can't say first of all because this is one of our first rules, but just let me, as an introduction, you have to tap into your executives a lot to hear what their expectations are.
Exactly.
And you have to learn how to tap into your people to know where the problems are so that you can know how to present up, how to bring stuff down and create alignment. So it is an issue of tapping in and being the middle negotiator.
Exactly.
So that's the overall idea. And when middle managers move themselves out of that without willing to be shot by both sides, then they lose their influence. So a good manager or a manager that has a lot of potential is one who at least wants to find out what are the problems, what are the issues, where are my people hurting, what is it that they're hearing from the clients that are frustrating the clients about the company, and I have to go and tap into that. I have to win their trust to be able to go tap into that.
And that tapping into that, Maurice, we often see that happening at things like water cooler gossip.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The little gossip pipeline that goes around in most companies.
The Rumorville.
Yeah. Now we're not talking about the shady part of that, but people's frustrations about work.
But even the shady part, how do you know it's shady until you tap in?
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of managers, they spend a lot of time trying to tell people to stop gossiping.
That's right.
Okay, but our experience has been, all right, that out of every 10 things that people are gossiping about, how many of those are legitimate issues that someone that the company's just not paying attention to?
Oh, at least several.
At least let's just say, can we ballpark and just throw a dart and say perhaps 7 out of 10?
Yeah.
So if the Rumorville is filled with 100 items down there that they're all complaining to each other about, we usually find, let's even be more conservative, 6 out of those 10 issues are real problems that the company is not doing something about, and the managers don't want to go deal with it because it's all surrounded, the whole baggage and garbage of it. Gossip.
Exactly. Well, and they're hearing some advice that they want from the people above them, some direction. Bring me good news.
Right.
I want to hear.
Right.
What it looks like is tell me how it's going, with the subtext of it better be going well or you're fired.
I know, and that's what frustrates a lot of the frontliners because the frontliners are the ones that really know what's going on in the company.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
The executives are the ones trying to figure out what's going on in the company.
Yep.
And the middle managers are the ones caught in the middle, going, "How in the world I'm going to get the information from the bottom to the top?" And how am I going to get the top to listen to me?
That's right.
And then be able to bring information down. You know what? I better just stay in my cubicle.
That's right.
I just better stay in my
That's right.
office.
That's right.
This is why middle management is so difficult.
It's hard. It's a hard job.
really hard job to do. But whenever companies buy other companies, what are the three things they look at? Money.
Money.
2, how to get rid of the executives.
Yep.
Right. And 3, how good is the middle managers.
Yep.
Right. And the real value of a company is when they look at the middle managers and they realize, whoa, we're about to buy a company that's filled with a bunch of good middle managers.
Yeah, that's true.
That makes the money a lot more valuable.
That's true.
So in our next segment, we're then going to get into the details. We've been talking about the general problems. Then we talked about the general concept of alignment. Stick around on the third segment. We're going to get into the actual details of what to do. There's 5 specific tools that we use.
And we got a very special mentor.
I know
who's
we
gonna
got a
speak
special.
in on
What
this
can we
thing.
say? Guest speaker.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So listen in. Mr. Steve Jobs will be joining us. You'll be listening to Training with Results on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
All right, welcome back to Training with Results. You are listening to Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
In Baton Rouge, this is Maurice Velasquez.
I'm John Shirk.
And we are with Team Real World. Our website is www.teamrealworld.com. And our phone number is 225-772-4357. That last 4357 spells help. So anytime you want to think about it, just dial 772-HELP. All right, we've been talking about the general problems of what it means for middle managers to be facing signs of unaligned team cultures.
Exactly.
Hopefully, those of you that are out there that are not managers, that are frontliners or that are executives, hopefully we've given you some initial tools of how to do some quick overview of where things may be, where the problems may lie.
That's right.
Then on the second segment, we talked about what it actually means to align. All right, and how the challenges for middle managers is to align between the front lines and the executives. Now we're going to move into probably one of our favorite topics.
Exactly.
I wish he was here with us live, but we don't. Mr. Steve Jobs was at a conference about 2 years before he died, before he passed away, and it was a 2-hour interview. And don't worry, you're not going to listen to the whole 2 hours. But there is a 2-minute clip. We're not going to let you listen to it all at once. We're going to listen to it in small little segments in which he's asked about his role in the company and what makes Apple great. Now, you think about it. How would you answer that if you were Apple, if you were Steve Jobs? What makes Apple great? Well,
we would think it'd be iPads and iPods and
iPhone
computers,
and
iPhones.
iTunes and iTV. Have you ever used an iTV?
I have,
that's
actually.
that's a tremendously awesome product. But anyway,
Yeah.
I digress. Okay, but he didn't. He basically said that there were 5 things that they did at Apple that made them awesome, that made them great. And every company that he went to, he used these principles of management, and these are the ones that we base our management training on. All right, so we want to talk about what those are, and we'll be playing some clips by Steve Jobs in it. So the first thing that we want you that we want to do is clip number 1. It's about 30, 45 seconds long. So here it is. When he was asked how to manage people and how to lead their company well structurally and internally with their team culture, this is what he said.
One of the keys to Apple is Apple's an incredibly collaborative company. And so, you know how many committees we have at Apple?
No,
0. We have no committees.
no committees.
We are organized like a startup. One person's in charge of iPhone OS software. One person's in charge of Mac hardware. One person's in charge of iPhone hardware engineering. Another person's in charge of worldwide marketing. Another person's in charge of operations. We're organized like a startup. We're the biggest startup on the planet. And
All right, so what did we hear?
Wow. Heard Steve Jobs' voice. That's kind
I know.
Yeah.
But we are organized like a startup. We're the greatest startup in the world, okay?
And because he said they had no committees.
But
right?
they had teams, and later he'll get
Exactly.
into teams. There's a difference. We can talk about it if we need to about what the difference are. But he said that the number one thing is, what does he do? What do they do? They make sure that they have clear understanding as to who is assigned to do what.
Exactly.
Okay.
Somebody's in charge of this. Somebody's in charge of that.
Right. How many times, John, do we wrestle in our own company, and then we talk to other managers, hundreds of managers across all of our clients, in which we ask them, so give us your organizational chart. Is this organizational chart up to date? Does everybody have a copy of it? Does everybody have the latest copy of it? Do you have any job descriptions that match this organizational chart? Are those job descriptions updated? And if we asked everybody just for to handwrite the top 3 or 4 or 5 things that they do, would everybody else be in agreement that that's what they do?
We often do that actually as part of
that is one of the
training
exercises, right?
Yeah.
And how many times we do that with any team group, and they're all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's both an issue of, does the single person know what they are in charge of, but then does everybody else also know the same thing?
Right. See, that's the key issue. It's just one thing, it's hard enough for me to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right.
But if I write it down, does John agree with me?
Exactly.
Because if John doesn't agree with me, then he's going to give those things for other people. And then there's, okay. So number one is roles and responsibilities.
Clarity.
Okay. Clarity. So then we're going to move now to show you the second thing that Steve Jobs says is critical for a company to be very well managed.
We all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company. And
Whoa.
Did I hear that right? Did I just hear that?
Chris, can you replay that one again for us just a second? We're not sure we heard this correctly. Session number, segment number 2. Did he say what? 3 hours?
3 hours a week?
Chris, are you able to play that one again? All right. It's okay. It's all right. So what?
He said at Apple, their senior team met for 3 hours a week.
3 hours a week. Now, people...
And that's not like spread out across the week. That's one meeting of 3 hours.
So wait a minute. Okay? Let's listen to that again.
we all meet for 3 hours once a week, and we talk about everything we're doing, the whole business. And there's tremendous teamwork at the top of the company, which filters down to tremendous teamwork throughout the company.
Okay, first of all, Chris, you're the bomb. Thank you. We caught you by surprise, and you're like you're just a master at this. Okay, so they met for 3 hours. What does that tell you? The disconnect we talked about earlier, how companies view meetings as being something to stay away from. What does Steve Jobs say is the essence of good management?
Good meetings.
Good meetings.
That's right.
Even if they take up what?
3 hours.
3 hours, because at those meetings is where they talk about everything.
The whole business.
The whole business. Now, does that mean that the entire company came together? No. We'll show you guys later how at different levels throughout the company, each unit needs to meet for a certain amount of time. Does everybody have to meet for 3 hours? Absolutely not. Okay? But I can tell you this, most companies aren't meeting.
That's right.
Most departments aren't meeting.
Yep.
Okay? And
or if they are meeting, they're trying to pull off a 3-minute meeting where everybody just says, well, we met.
Right. Or they do a very long meeting and it goes nowhere.
Exactly.
Or it's very disorganized. Or here's what usually happens. Now, John, you know we've seen this a lot. Normally, meetings happen vertically. In other words, bosses with groups below them. Mm-hmm. And then the next supervisor with groups below them. That's good. That's good. What usually happens is that they don't keep that rhythm every week for 45 minutes, every week for 2 hours. Meetings are set up kind of haphazardly when we have time.
Exactly.
What Steve Jobs is saying is what? It's the other way around. You basically structure your decision making and your accountability, we'll listen to some more later, around those meetings. And those meetings dictate and they lead the whole discussion, right?
Exactly. So the second key we're talking about here is not only meeting, it's meeting well.
Yeah, meeting well.
Meeting
regularly in what we call a rhythm of good meetings.
Exactly.
Okay, and the other thing we've noticed also is that companies, they don't meet across department lines. Mm-hmm. So, for example, your department managers don't meet with each other and thus create silos.
Exactly.
Okay, so there needs to be conversations going all the way up and down vertically, and there needs to be conversations going across different departments at the different levels, so that you create this concept of everybody working together. Because he said it's about working and creating this dynamic of good meetings from the top all the way down to the bottom.
That's right.
So everybody needs to practice this down and across. So now let's go to the third one, and the third one is quite interesting as well. So here's Mr. Steve Jobs.
And teamwork is dependent on trusting the other folks to come through with their part without watching them all the time.
Whoa.
But trusting that they're going to come through with their parts. And
Whoa.
that's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up.
Okay. He said that when they come to meetings, they trust each other. Right?
That's right.
And how did he define trust?
He said, I don't know if I remember the exact words. He said people trust each other when they say they're going to do something, you can count on them to go ahead and
you don't have to stay on top of them.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you said you're going to do something, then we're going to have another meeting next week or in 2 days, depending on. But by the time you said you were going to do it, then I trust you that what?
Either you did it or you got back to me and
Yeah.
renegotiated when it could get done.
Exactly. So it's an issue of not coming to the meetings and going, and then at the meeting announcing that I didn't get it done.
That's
Okay,
right.
so
We see this very often.
Oh,
where,
a lot.
Where the meeting breaks down.
Lot.
You know, a company finally gets to the point where they have decent individual meetings, but what happens between the meetings breaks down. So at the end of the meeting, there's nothing written. Everybody just has kind of a verbal conversation. Yeah, you got this. I got that.
disorganized.
It's disorganized. And then when they come back to next week, nobody's on the same page anymore. They forgot. Or
And
they're-
at the meetings, no one's keeping up with what's being said.
Exactly.
And no one's being keeping up with what did we say. Yeah, an agenda is not enough. It's what later we'll talk with everybody, and we'll our next program will include. Actually, we'll start up at the top this concept of keeping a docket,
Right.
of having a docket. So in today's program, we're going to be talking about the 5 elements that Steve Jobs laid out as building a company around good managers, good management style. Next week's program is going to be on how to take that and actually putting it to practice with very effective, simple tools. Not simple, but effective tools.
Straightforward.
Very practical tools. So to close out this segment, let's go ahead and review the 3. Okay. Number 1, it's about making sure that everyone has assigned roles and responsibilities.
Second is meeting well.
Meeting well on a regular basis.
That's right.
And all the way from the top to the bottom. And the third is
Trust.
that you're going to come through and be accountable. This has been so far Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP in Baton Rouge. Training with results. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. This is Training with Results with Team Real World. My name is Maurice Velasquez, and I'm with
John Shirk.
And you're listening to Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
We're with Team Real World. Our website is www.teamrealworld.com. Our phone number is 225-772-4357. We specialize in helping companies create alignment, great management, and therefore team dynamics that produce results. We work with all types of companies, and we're discussing about right now. This is our last segment of our program today. We've been discussing the essence of helping managers become excellent.
That's right.
This has been an overview of what is otherwise a 2-day workshop. Of course, you guys right now listening on the radio show don't get the benefit of all the exercises and all the discussion and the videos that we watch and the fun that we have. Hopefully, you guys are finding this fun and engaging. But if you get a chance, not even get a chance, listen, plan yourself. 10 of you from your company, come and check us out. Come to our workshop. John gives extraordinary discounts. I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy who always charges more money. Go talk to John. John's got the discounts. Come. We have a really, really, really good time. We had one company even recently telling us, "Wow!" The workshop hadn't even started.
Yeah.
And remember, they said, "Oh, wow, this actually looks like it's going to be fun." And then he kind of got this look on his face like, "It's not just going to be fun, is it?" I said, "Well, look. How about we check with you after the first break?" You tell us, and after the first break, he said, "Oh, wow, you guys know how to make fun into business."
That's right.
And so that's what it's all about. And really, as a matter of fact, one of the tools that we work with managers is how they need to be able to create that type of culture in there. And so towards the end of our next program, we're going to be talking about how to create a fun and dynamic culture. All right. So let's go ahead and finish off with our, I guess, our pseudo interview or pseudo discussion with Mr. Steve Jobs. He laid out 5 steps on how to create great management. We've already listened to 3 of them.
That's right.
And it's now to listen to basically the 4th thing he said of building a great management culture inside of your company. Let's listen to segment number 4.
And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than...
I love that last question.
Yeah.
Now, in a few minutes, we'll hear his answer to that question.
Yeah.
Okay. But what's number 4? Number 4 is being on the same page.
Exactly.
Okay. So what that speaks to is that in those meetings, when John earlier you said we have to meet well.
Yes.
That's what this is about.
That's right.
Okay. It's about meeting well.
Right.
Because we all have to be on the same page. So
imagine. I'm going to assume a good number of people listening to this radio broadcast are LSU football fans. So imagine.
Oh yeah.
Imagine the LSU football team took the field. They're getting ready to snap the football. They're on offense, and all 11 people stopped and said, "I've got my own program.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I want to.
I come here with my own creativity."
That's right. That's right.
So what would happen when all of a sudden the quarterback goes 42, 63, 39, hut?
Nothing.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not on the same page.
They're not on the same page.
Exactly.
So it's more than just having an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is, let's just say it. It is really just having a serious commitment to keeping track of what's being discussed.
Right.
It's not just note taking, is the ability to create from your agenda and from your notes a tool, a device, very easy to implement, called a docket. Because you notice what Steve Jobs was doing. He said, what do I do all day long? So executives, what should you do? Middle managers, what should you do? Okay. Fixing problems or meetings with teams of people that know the problems of how they're helping to resolve issues.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So middle managers should be regularly tapping into 2 major issues. Steve Jobs said it very well. He taps into problems and ideas.
That's right.
Okay. A lot of times we don't. We deal with problems only because we just can't avoid them. There's a tsunami coming, so we might as well deal with it.
Right.
But we don't go looking for those problems. Now, I'm not talking about going and looking for problems. Let's go search what the problems are.
And if I can just make a comment in here, Maurice, about the manager solving those problems, keeping in mind that what they're doing is solving problems so that their frontliners can execute.
Exactly.
They're not pushing the frontliner aside and solving a frontline issue themselves.
Right.
This is an important dynamic because a number of middle managers say to us at this point, I don't have time for these meetings.
Right.
But if you drill down into, well, then what are you spending your time doing? They're basically doing high-level frontliner work.
Very good point.
Instead of empowering those frontliners and helping them solve problems that they have.
Let's chase that. Let's chase that a little more. Okay. They don't have time for these meetings, but yet the problems they're chasing, they're either trying to solve problems or trying to run away or trying to run in. Not run away from problems. They're trying to run to fix problems, but they're not bringing them into the meetings where they should be discussed
and it could be
resolved.
It could be that they're solving a problem by training on the job
absolutely.
frontliners.
Right.
So that doesn't mean they don't get their hands dirty, but manager efforts break down when they turn themselves into frontliners for a while.
Correct. And a lot of times it's the old Godfather saying, I try to get out, but they pull me back.
That's right.
And we find a lot of managers, they tell us that their job is supposed to be 60, 70% managing, 30% working with their crew, with the frontliners, and yet they get sucked in totally the opposite, where it becomes 80 to 90% working, and then they don't have time to manage.
Right.
Because that is the reality of corporate America and a lot of companies, then meetings therefore do become a nuisance.
Exactly.
As opposed to being the number one tool that allows them to create consistency.
Right.
So you got to meet well. You got to meet often. You got to be able to confront and organize problems. But let's not forget ideas.
Yes.
You have to create an environment in those meetings where ideas can come out. And here's where a lot of managers really start hurting themselves. Those ideas they believe need to come from them,
That's right.
as opposed to fostering an environment where ideas are possible. And their role as managers is primarily to foster and facilitate
That's right.
the environment where innovation is possible, not take sides and try to drill in and try to only fight for their views.
That's
right?
That's exactly
That's
right.
which basically is just a good segue to the question he was asked in segment number 5 when they asked him, well, okay, you know, do you get
get challenged?
Do you get challenged? So
Yeah.
let's listen to what Steve Jobs says about that.
Snarky journalists. I mean, people that
Oh,
work
yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. Oh, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So-
Otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Why would I be there if I did?
Exactly.
So he partakes in the actual debates, in the actual what he called good fights, right?
That's right.
But notice the question he was asked. You're not just a facilitator. That means he was more focused on what? On facilitating, making sure that if you're going to participate in a discussion, that the meeting, that the environment of that discussion is being facilitated well.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah, those of you listening, this
is
is
a man
key.
who is clearly a genius, both on a computer level and on a business level, who's known for having a little bit of an ego, for being abrasive, for having
Being rough.
yeah, having no problem letting somebody know exactly what he's thinking.
Right.
And here's this guy at the meeting, the guy with the power, the guy with the name, the guy with the history, saying, "I want to know what you think. You're not talking enough. Speak up."
And being able to facilitate that meeting and create an environment to where they know they can
Exactly.
speak up directly to Steve Jobs. A lot of times we get asked, hey, if you guys train our people, do we need to have the executives come with us? And our answer is what?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely yes.
Because that's where the breakdown is, not at the executive level, but at the communication and trust between being able to say some things to executives in a professional environment and teaching the executives and managers how to facilitate a meeting to where that level of confidence and trust can be had in the same room and not hope, well, I'll be honest, when the executives leave the room. So when we talk about real problems, when we talk about real solutions, this is it, y'all. This is the heart of dynamics in a company, that either you wobble with misalignment or you have a good flow of possible success.
Now, there's a natural conflict here. We can talk about more of this in next week's show. But notice we said earlier, what is the number one problem that a lot of frontliners have? It's their boss.
It's their boss.
And what we're saying now is the boss's job to say, you tell me what the real problem is.
And I'm going to facilitate it in such a way that I'm going to invite you to be able to come. You're going to be rewarded for it. You're not going to be chastised. You're not going to be fired. You know what I'm saying? And ideas are possible. And let's just finish off with this thought, because we got to finish for today's program. Ideas must reign.
They have to rule.
And you have to encourage your people to bring their ideas to the table, or otherwise your good people will
leave.
You don't want that to happen. So next week, we're going to be talking about how to actually put this into motion with practical applications. And we thank you for joining us. This has been a great program. You're listening to Training with Results in Baton Rouge, Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Team Real World.